Hi everyone, I've had a great response from the Comfrey tea making video, but a lot of people have asked me, how do you grow comfrey? So I thought I'd put together another video to show you how easy it is to grow this fantastic plant. What I'm going to do today is take up some of my comfrey growing in the garden, and I'm going to show you how you can propagate it by dividing it and repotting it and then using it around your garden to have as a great resource through the garden. I'll also tell you a little bit more about the benefits of growing comfrey and the things that you can do with it in your garden. What I'm going to do now is show you how to remove some comfrey from the ground. So if you already have a plant like this growing, you can actually dig it up and divide it and use it in many places around your garden. It's a wonderful plant to spread around the garden, and it's very easy to grow by division and propagating and planting around your garden. So I'm just going to remove this clump of comfrey from here. I'm using my garden fork so I don't damage too many of the roots, and it's planted near a basil. Now I've got it growing around the fruit trees, but I wouldn't want to disturb the roots of the fruit trees, so the basil will have a smaller root system, so I'm just going to do that very gently and take that out of the ground. You can see I've taken up all the pieces, including the roots and all the leaves on here, and now we're going to divide that up and repot it. Okay, so now I have the comfrey plants. You can see the roots here. Now the great thing with comfrey is it has a very deep taproot, which means it can mine its way really deep into the lower subsoils, and it will then take up all the nutrients that are very deep in the soil that we actually can't access, and it will store it in its leaves. So when we use the leaves in the garden, either chopping up and laying directly over the soil or making a tea brew like I have, you're then bringing all those nutrients that the plant stores in the leaves, and it goes into the soil and then feeds our soil, which in turn feeds our plants. So a really, really useful plant in the garden. So I'm going to gently divide up the roots of the comfrey here, and I've got some trays. I'm just sitting it on the garden bed. Now it's a bit of an overcast day, which is great for doing this. If it was really hot and sunny, this would wilt and lose a lot of moisture, so you could soak it in a bucket of water or wait till a cooler part of the day to do this, or in a little bit of shade. So using my secateurs, I'm going to gently divide out that. You can cut through the roots. It's not going to hurt it too much. So that's cut in half there. I can actually divide this down further. So I can divide it into another piece here, provided I have plenty of these small fibrous roots on the main tap root. So I think that's as far as I'll divide that one. Now plants lose a lot of moisture through their leaves, and because we want this plant to retain a lot of moisture, going through transplanting and propagating is going to put it in a little bit of shock. So what we need to do is remove any larger leaves. That means the plant is going to lose less moisture as it's growing. So you can see a couple of smaller leaves there. That's fine to leave on the plant so it can still go through its photosynthesis process. But if you have any larger leaves, like on this piece here, we have a larger leaf, you can actually cut those leaves in half, and that will reduce the amount of moisture lost by that plant. So then that will be potted. You can remove any of these smaller browner leaves or any of those stems, as long as you're leaving some leaves on there and some roots on there, and then we're going to put these into a pot. So I've got a few pieces ready to go. This piece here, we can divide one more. Just gently cut between the roots through to the stems, and then we've got another few pieces to grow. So then what I'm going to do, you can use any small pots. I've got a few different pot sizes here. Any of these would be suitable, and I have some good quality potting mix. We would fill our pot to about half, removing a few more of these leaves, cutting this leaf by half, and I have a few small leaves there that are ready to grow. Now these pots are quite good because it has a long root system. We want to make sure that there's plenty of room in that pot for those long roots to grow. So a little bit of potting mix in the bottom. Give that a little shake to make sure we can get all the roots down into that pot. And then we'll top that up with some potting mix. Make sure you gently press all your potting mix down, or you can use compost or a blend of compost and worm castings for propagating as well. You want to make sure there's no air holes in there because you don't want any of the roots to dry out. They need to have plenty of moisture. And once that's potted, I'll make up a nice mix of a diluted worm juice. Now any worm juice or kelp or any other liquid fertilizer is going to add some nutrients straight into those plants' leaves, and it's also going to help reduce the shock of that plant and encourage a lot of new growth. So I've got my small watering can. I'm going to dilute that down. Now my worm juice is already quite diluted. So again, I'll say about 1 part worm juice to about 5 parts of water. Now we want to water that potting mix very well to make sure that there's no air holes and those roots are getting really well watered. Give the foliage a little water as well to help reduce that moisture loss. And then I'll end up filling, from that plant, I'll fill a whole tray of the Comfrey here, and then I'll put that in the shade. Now that needs a drink each day until you can see all the new growth and see that it's happy and growing, and from there I'll plant it out into the garden. So you can see how easy it is to propagate Comfrey from cuttings. If you have one plant in your garden, then it will multiply and you can get many plants from that. You can save yourself lots of money by growing your own plants, and then you have a really good resource all around the garden that's going to improve your soil and also your plant growing. Now if you'd like some more information, you can contact me or visit my website cathmanuel.com, and I have plenty of information on other growing ideas available.